Good afternoon, one and all. We are going to start with the another top with the same continuation of the topic, whatever we have done in the last class. So, in the last class, actually, I have told you that we will get one question, and the question will be like the expansions of your requirements driving specific architectural changes, whatever is happening for IoT. So, on that, we had some 5 points, that is scale, security, then constraints, devices and networks, then data, and the last point was legacy device support. And in the last class we have already discussed about the scale, security and constraint devices and networks. Now in this class we will be discussing about data and legacy device support. Okay, so starting for the data. So now how the IoT is going to generate the huge amount of data, and how it's going to maintain all the generated data. That is the thing which we are going to see in this topic. So here you can see the first point says that IoT devices generate a mountain of data, huge amount of data, which is going to generate by using these IoT devices. So here what will happen is, suppose if I will take care, if I want to consider the IT companies, so they won't take care about the data, okay, because they know that all the data will be very unstructured and everything is going to save inside the network, okay. But you know that the data are very important, right? Because without the data we cannot get any kind of result whatever we wanted to have. So if we won't keep the data in a secured place, then what is the use of this IoT service? So that's the reason the IoT services are providing us the security towards the unstructured data which has been generated by using the IoT devices. And all this unstructured data, it has to be analyzed properly and it has to be processed properly, where we can reutilize the data to create any kind of our new business models. So in that way the data are utilized, and we can say that there will be a million of data which is connected among all the networked devices and can be structurized by utilizing this IoT system. Okay, that is the meaning of your data. So, continuing with the same topic of data, here you can see that suppose if you want to, that it is the first point is just one example. Suppose if you are predicting something that can be anything. Here, some example of light has been given. So, if you are predicting that within this much of time period, this work has to happen. Okay, so your prediction should match with the analyzed person, whatever they have analyzed, that yes, the A person is going to do within this time period in that work. Okay, then what will happen is the IoT sensors will recognize all these things and they are going to perform the task based on the prediction values. Okay, so that is also a part of your data. So now here you can see, if I will combine all the data like whatever is there, and if I will like there, you know already that there will be a huge amount of data. So if I'll combine all the network based data in all together, then it will be very difficult to manage and to analyze the data individually. So that is the that's why like apart from my IT networks, I have to design the IoT system where all the staggered data will be into a proper architecture, and they can give the parameters value or the data's frequency, everything into a possibility way. So in that way we are going to manage our data very faster way, and you can see the output, the result will be possible by using this response of these devices. Okay, so in that way we are going to utilize the data. Then the last topic of last topic of this I have given you like 5 points and all, that is IoT structure, how we are going to give the architecture, and how we are going to expand all these things. So on that question, this is the last topic or last point, that is legacy device support. So in this legacy device support, first we have to find out where we are going to support it. So we have to support it in an IT organization, okay? Because every time, mostly this IoT is working on the IT organizations. This is like most of the, but it is working in all the possibility areas also. So here, how the legacy device is supporting the IT organization. Suppose if someone's computer or operating system is outdated, so what we are doing, we have to upgrade it. Okay. So while upgrading, also maybe someone is using the mobile devices to update. Maybe someone is using laptop to update the operating system. Wherever it has been stored, it's going to update. But some of the time, what will happen is, like if we don't have the proper wi-fi standard or wireless network, then it will not get updated. Or if you have the mobile data, you can see that it won't support to update anything. Okay. So it needs some of the bandwidth or network on what base on what it's going to be upgrade your operating system. Okay. That is the legacy device support. Why we are doing all these things, why they are supporting these things? Because there will be the security while upgrading your operating system. Fine. So now next thing is, like from whenever this IoT networks has been deployed, so what's happening is, the older devices whatever is present on this network, so they will have some kind of your capabilities where they can upgrade your upgrade to your latest technology. Okay. So that is known as your legacy device support. So another, there are many points are available on your legacy device support, and here one example has given. You can see the example here. A factory which replaces the machines only once in every 20 years. Okay, so it does not want to upgrade multi-million dollar machines just so it can connect them to a network for better visibility and control. What is the meaning of this? There are some legacy devices are available which don't support the IP. Okay, they have the factories, they have many machines they are using from long years ago. So if they will start upgrading all these things, then they have to spend the $1 million on only on these machines. So how they will do? There are many ways are there, which like that is not necessary that we have to change it completely. The first thing is, if that in that factory the machines are not supporting the IP, first thing what we can do is, we have to make it as supportable towards the IP. Okay. Once it will start supporting, then we have to implement the serial interfaces and all by using RS-232. So in this way, slowly if we will work onto that, then there are many interfaces are there which will not cost you more, which will not cost you more how it used to cost in to implement in whole of the factory. Okay. So in this case, how IoT network will be helping? This IoT network will be capable to translate all the protocols in through your gateways. Okay, so it is going to connect all these devices into the legacy endpoint devices. So in this way, the IoT network will be very helpful to find out the endpoints and the gateway devices to connect with the IoT networks. Okay, so this is a way of changing the machines or supporting the machines towards the IP by utilizing the IoT networks. Okay, so this is all about your 5 points on like the topic called expansion of your requirements driving towards the architecture, how it can be changed through your IoT. Okay, so now we are moving to a next topic, which also you can get 7 marks or 6 marks of question. The question can be like how you're going to compare the IoT architectures. Okay, so it will have only one point. So that point and one diagram will be there. So the point will be the one M2M IoT standardized architecture. So that will be there, and it will have one diagram, and also you have to explain with that the IoT World Forum. Okay, so all these three things you have to remember, and while writing the answers, please keep in your mind you are going to write all these things. Okay, so now let's understand what do you mean by comparing IoT architectures. So here architectures in the sense you are going to make a framework where you have to face, or you have already faced some of the challenges, and you are overcoming that challenges, and you are designing a new architecture or a new framework. Okay, so here what we are doing is, as the name suggesting you that it's a comparing IoT architecture, so here you will be having many varieties of IoT networks. Okay, so here what you are going to do is, you are just comparing your old architecture with the new versions of architecture. After overcoming all the challenges, whatever the architecture you are designing, that architecture with your old architecture you are just comparing. So if I'll compare, then 100% sure that you will have a huge difference in the massive scale parameter. So here, that is the first thing that you are going to see, what you are going to get it. So this is the first point which we have to remember. So you will get the difference in massive scale. Okay, so now the next point will be the foundational concept of all these architectures. So whatever the architectures has defined now, or whatever the architectures was there before, all these things will be like they will be supporting towards your data, the process, or you can say all the functions. Okay, so these all are the important points. So all the architectures has to support the data, the process, and the functions, whatever has been connected with the endpoint device platform. Okay, so these things are the comparisons in your IoT architectures. So you are going to take care of all these things while comparing with the old architectures. So we have some two best architectures which has been supported with the IoT networks. The first one is, you have to remember, that is 1M2M. Okay, and the second one is IoT World Forum. Fine. So these two are your architecture name, the best architecture name, which you are going to explain with the diagrams. So now moving towards the next slide. Here, first one, we are going to see the 1M2M IoT standardized architecture. So, how you are going to remember the points on this 1M2M IoT architecture? So, the first thing is, you have to write as M2M means machine to machine. Okay, so here, as the name is suggesting 1M2M, so here we are going to connect, or we are going to have the communications in between machine to machine. Okay, so here where it has been established, it is a European Telecommunication Standards Institute which has been created the M2M Technical Committee in 2008. So this one will be your first point, that how the machine to machine communication is there, and also where it has been created, and in which year it has been created. So these things are your important points. Okay, the first point. Second point is, after, what is the goal of this architecture and what it is going to do. Okay, so the goal of this architecture will be to create only a common architecture which will be helping to accelerate all the applications. Okay, so what is the goal of this? It has to accelerate all the M2M applications and devices. That is the goal of your IoT, 1M2M IoT architecture. This you have to remember. Once it will be done, Then slowly it has to expand its scope and it has to include IoT into that. Because you have observed here that in the first 2 points we have only discussed about M2M. Till now we have not discussed about the IoT. Once this thing has done, the next part came into the picture is we have added the IoT into the M2M. So in this, once we have added it, it has gone to a expanded version, and here 2008 it has been created. In 2012 ETSI, that is European Telecommunication Standard Institute, and some other global institutes are there which has which became the member of your ETSI, and they have started the global initialization to promote your M2M communications. Okay, so by using this IT IoT network and by using this machine to machine communications. So here these all are the points you have to remember. How many funding members has been joined together? There are 13 funding members, those who have joined with this ETSI in 2012, and they started promoting the M2M communications. So these all are your important points. If you want, you can note it down this. After that, what happened? Then here the goal we have declared already. The goal was like you have to find out the here you can see what was the goal of that. Here it has to design in a proper way, and it has to accelerate the adoption of your M2M applications and the devices. So once the goal has been declared, here it has to create the service layer. Okay, why it has to create the service layer? Because your one M2M supports the service layer. So here like in this service layer, it's embedded with many field devices which able to allow all the variety of communications among them. Okay, so this kind of frameworks has been focused only on your IoT services and the IoT applications and your IoT platforms. Why it is like that? Because I have told you that in 2012 this one M2M has started supporting the IoT. So IoT has been attached with your one M2M. That is the reason it started focusing only on your IoT services and IoT applications and your IoT platforms. Once, so if it has started focusing on these points, so better I'll just highlight this. So first thing is one M2M started working on your service layer. Okay, then it started allowing all the embedded services. Okay, that it started allowing. Then once it has done, again as it has been enclosed with your IoT networks, so it started with your IoT services, applications and your platforms. Fine. So after this, as we have enclosed here the IoT network things, so definitely it has to work on the variety applications. The applications can be your smart grid, smart city automations, e-health, or any connected vehicles and all. So it's going to support all these smart metering applications. Okay, then moving towards the next slide. Here you can see what all are the challenges we got while designing this IoT architecture. The first challenge we got, that is your heterogeneity of devices. Okay, what we got the heterogeneity of the devices. So here that was the first challenges we got here. And again we had some challenges into the softwares and into the access methods. Fine. So these all are the challenges whatever is happening here. Next thing is to overcome all these challenges, it has to declare all the horizontal platform architectures. Okay, where it can allow like all the IoT stacks. Because in one M2M, there will be the levels of IoT stack. It will develop all varieties of standards, and it will start allowing all the IoT stacks. So all these things has to work on your horizontal platform architecture. So what it is going to allow, you have to remember the point as your IoT stacks. So here one example is that suppose if you want to automate any of this system by connecting to the wireless, then what you have to do, how you are going to do, you can access all these things by utilizing that this machine to machine with IoT networks. So whatever the automated systems you are finding out in your home or in your office, everything is in this way. So all the architectures are same like your 1M2M with your IoT networks. Okay, these all things are same. Now, suppose if you want to deploy these sensors by using this like LoRaWAN technology, how you are going to do, this is a technology. Now, it was utilizing or it was deploying the sensors, but we got some of the issues with all this technology. What happens is here, so it has its own network, okay, where all the systems will be connected with that, and there will be no natural connection point. Okay, as there is no natural connection points, so it was not keeping all the sensor data securely. Due to that, so all these M2M like common services and all, it these things came into the picture. Because as this technology was having some problem, that's the reason it has overcome, one M2M has overcome this problem, and this one M2M came into the picture. And it had also some IoT functions into that domains. That's the reason it became so famous to utilize. And also it provides the many layers security. It can be your application layers, it can be your service layer, or it can be your network layer. So it started supporting all these layers in proper way, where it got the services or the IoT functions into that. Okay, so these all are some points you have to remember. Now you can see here how the one M2M IoT architecture looks like. You can see this diagram. Whatever I have told you, the automation applications are there, and also some home applications are there. Okay, so here in this first part is known as your application layer, and it supports your smart energy, asset tracking, and fleet management. So all these things it's supporting. And in this part, you will have all the layers. So here you will have your service layer, and also you will have your all the communication technology and protocols. And also you will have, as communication technologies are there, you will have the communication networks over here, and also the communication devices and hardwares. So in this service layer, here we know that our one M2M has connected with the which kind of network. It has been connected with the horizontal framework. Okay, and here it supports all the RESTful APIs. Okay, these RESTful APIs are the common used, and here this supports. Suppose if you want to get the data, if you want to put the data, or you want to delete the data, if you want to update the data, these all are the work of your RESTful APIs. Okay, so this here in this part, in this layer, it supports all these things. And the last part, whatever you are seeing, that is your network layer. So here what happens, this application will talk directly with these APIs, and it will start communicating with your sensors. That is the main part. Okay, all the APIs will communicate through your network layer with your sensors, and then only they can transfer all the data from here to there, right? So next part, you can see this is different. Now we will come to that. Okay, so now in this is the main elements. Yes, now you can see what all are the layers we have been discussed that we are going to see. So now the first one will be your application layers. In this application layer, it has to connect with all the devices, with all the applications. Okay, so this domain will be including your all the API definitions that I told you already. So this application layer will standardize with your API definitions, and also it will interact with your business intelligence systems. These 2 points you have to remember here. And remember another thing, as I told you before, everything you are going to work inside your IT organization. So these applications were tend towards your industry specific. Okay, and also these things will be known as your, it will show towards the vertical entities whatever has been entered. Okay, so moving towards the next one, next slide. So here the next one will be your service layer. So what happens in your service layer? You have seen already the diagram. You have to explain each of the point. So in this layer, it has been shown in your horizontal framework. Okay, and which is also your vertical industry application oriented. So you have to remember this service layer will be working under your horizontal framework, and it supports your all the industry applications. And also it will have some of the physical network. Suppose if you have some underlying management protocols or hardware, then it has to support the physical network also. It has to include all the physical networks. Okay, so here some of the examples has been written. Some communications via cellular or some kind of your networks like that. And also one more will be there on the top of your common service layer, that is known as your riding. Okay, this is a concept which will be on the top of your common service layers. So this layer, this service layer will add all the varieties of your APIs which has to support your middleware, or you can say that third party services and applications. So this is about your service layer. And also I have told you that it will have one more layer, that is your network layer. So then in this network layer, what happens is, here it will have the communications in between your IoT devices and also with the endpoints. That's why it will have the communications in between them, and there will be a connectivity through the links. Already this part you know how the network layer works and all. And also it supports your wireless mesh technology, which is also known as your IEEE 802 point something. And also it supports your wireless point to multi-point systems, which is your IEEE 801 point some values. It can be 11.2 or anything. So these kind of things it supports. And if I will consider about the wired device connections, then it has to connect with your IEEE 1901. Okay, so these things and all, it's going to connect with your network layer. So this is all about your like IO like your 1M2M architecture. Okay, so the next one, as I told you, this is one more comparison, that is your IoT World Forum standardized architecture. When this architecture has been designed, this architecture has been designed in 2014. Okay, and it has 7 layer architecture. It is a 7 layer IoT architecture. Okay, so already we have the IoT reference model. So it has been generated with by the help of your IoT reference model. Okay, and in this it includes some extra perspectives, that can be your edge computing, that can be your data storage, that can be your access. All these things has been implemented into your IoT World Forum. And also you can visualize all these things in a very technical way, because it has been broken into 7 layers only to provide the security. Okay, because without security it won't be anything. Now here you can see the diagram of your IoT reference model, which has been published by the IoT World Forum. So this is just one example. The layers has been given over here. The first layer was physical devices and controllers, then connectivity, then edge computing, then data accumulation, then data abstraction, then application, then the last one was collaboration, and processes. So all these 7 layers you have to explain while writing the answer, because separately the question can come only for this only for this IoT World Forum standardized architecture. So you have to explain all the 7 layers properly. Okay, so now you can see here how this IoT reference model defines with all the set of labels. Okay, so what it includes, so it includes all the varieties of your sensors, devices, machines, and all the varieties of your nodes. Okay, so these things and all are the most important thing inside your IoT reference model. So now, if you want to keep all the data into a stack, then you have to start or you have to originate it from the edge. Okay, and then you have to go towards the center. By using this reference model, it has been able, this IoT World Forum, this has been able to do some of the problems, like some of the following steps. So first, it has been decomposed all the IoT problems into a very smaller parts. Okay, then next it has to identify all the different technologies whatever has been present in each layer, and how they are going to relate with all the other all the other technologies. That is also it has been identified in this architecture. And also it has been defined with a system with different parts, where it has been provided with different vendors. Okay, so these 3 points, and the last point was it was defining all the varieties of interfaces which has been leads towards your interoperability. So this is about your IoT reference model. So now here you can see the security model, whatever has been enforced, it will have the transition points always in between your levels, because if it will not have any of the transition points, then the security perspective we won't get it that much. That is the reason now we have to see all the 7 layers very carefully, how it is going to be represented. What was the first layer? That was the physical devices and controller layer. So what happens in this layer is, in this layer it has to control and all the physical devices. So as we are suggesting the name Internet of Things, so all the things has to be connected with all the endpoint devices and with that sensors, and then it will send and receive all the informations. And then it has to put it into a machines or into a you can say into a sensors to get all the huge amount of data. So the primary work of your physical devices is to generate all the data, and it has to capable enough to control the network. That is the work of your first layer. Now, what is the work of your second layer? Second layer says about the connectivity layer, where the in the IoT reference model you have seen about the connectivity. Okay, so here the connectivity always has to be very reliable, and also it can able to transmit all the data in a very timely manner. That is the reason it has been included all the transmissions in between your layer 1 devices, and also in between your network and information processing system. Okay, that goes towards your layer 3. In layer 3 you can see your edge computing layer, where it gets the data or transmit the data from layer 1 through your layer 2 towards your layer 3. Okay, so here all these connectivity layers are known as your networking elements. Fine, and also it is going to work with the sensors by utilizing the gateway and backhaul networks. Okay, so these things and all is known as your IoT gateways. So this is about your connectivity layer. Now, this is your IoT reference model. One diagram is there, where you have to specify how the layer 2 functions are working out. Here it is going to give the communications in between the layer 1 devices. It will transfer all the reliable data across your network. it should have some switch and routers, and it will translate in between the protocols. So protocols has to be there, and it will have the network level security. This is the diagram of your second layer, that is your connectivity layers. Now the layer 3, that is known as your edge computing layer. So this is the role of your layer 3, where it will also refer as your fog layer. Okay, this is the important point. This is known as your fog layer. What will happen in this layer? It will emphasize all the data reduction things here, and it will convert all the data flows into the informations. Okay, because some data will be very random, so we need to convert all the data into the information, and it has to store in your higher layers. That is a major work of your edge computing layer. So that is the reason it has the principle that it's going to store everything into a reference model, okay, for your information processing. And it can be like the work will be same like for your edge of the network. Okay, it should have the network edge to transfer or to have the data reduction value. This is about your layer 3. Now this is the diagram of your layer 3, where we will have some data packets. And what are the functions of your layer 3? It can evaluate or it can reformat all the data reduction while processing into the higher levels. Okay, so it can filter all the data, or it can reduce the traffic while processing from one level to another level. And also it will have one extra feature, that is allotting or sending the notifications or having the other actions while analyzing and transforming the data. Okay, so these all are the functions of your layer 3. Moving towards your same point, we'll just continue. So what are the extra functions it will have? So as you have already seen, it will have the functions like it is going to evaluate all the data, that is a major thing, and it's going to aggregate the data and going to send all these data values towards your higher layer. That is the important point. And also it allows to reformat the data or to decode the data. Majorly it's going to work on your data part. Okay, suppose if you are seeing any data are having some predefined threshold values, then it has to take the immediate actions, or it has to send the alerts or notifications. Okay, so these all are the points for your layer 3. Now in between the upper layers, that is your layer 4 to 7, so what happens is in layer 4 there will be the data accumulation layer, where it will capture all the data and it will store the data inside your application layers. And it can convert, if suppose if you have given any events, so that events it can convert into the query and it can process the data. Okay, that's the reason it's going to work on your RESTful APIs. Layer 5 says about the data abstraction layer, where there will be a multiple data formats, and all the data formats has come from your different source. So now it has to confirm that all the data set whatever it has been received, everything is complete, and it's going to consolidate all the data in one place, and it's going to store the data very securely in the database. Okay, that is the work of your data abstraction, because it has to cover your data, because it has to confirm the data, and it's going to abstract the data. The layer 6 says about the application layer, where it has to interpret with your applications. Okay, applications in the sense you can have your monitors where you can monitorize your data, you can have the control over your data, you can analyze the data, and at last you can provide the reports based on the data whatever you have monitored. Okay, that is the work of your layer 6 application layer. Layer 7 says about the collaboration and processing layer, where it can consume and share the application informations. So all these things has to collaborate and communicate in between your IoT informations. Okay. So these things will be helpful for the business process where it will have a large benefit towards the IoT network. So this is about your upper layers, which says the layers 4 to 7. So now this is a diagram of your IT and OT responsibilities in your IoT reference model. All the layers will work in this way. We will have the IT based, where the query based, in OT there will be a event based, which has to be converted into your query based in your IT. And in OT, the data in motion has to be converted into data at rest. In OT, the real time things has to be converted in your non real time things. So this is the responsibilities of your IT and OT. So here on this aspect, all these IoT architectures has to start organize their responsibilities, whatever has been given in IT and OT lines. So I have already discussed in the top of this stack how the data has to be enclosed and how it is going to work on your servers, database, and the applications. Okay, all these things has to be controlled by your network control, the controller, that is by your IT. So previously we have seen that OT and IT had some independent things. Now here you can see the IoT, how it has been taken care and it has been changed the whole over the paradigm. Okay, so this is all about your like IoT reference model, and this comparison of your IoT architecture can come for your 7 or 8 marks, where you have to write all these points, and maybe the 2 points can come separately as your 7 or 8 marks, so it depends on the question. So this is a very important question which I have been discussed today. Hope you people have understood this. Thank you.